Hello everyone, welcome to eTech Facebook Live Fridays. I'm Tech Bob, and today we are going to be reviewing the Apple Self-Service Repair Program. Not just its program, but I have a couple tools here too to review. The main one I'm going to be talking about is this heated display opening fixture. We got this one mainly because we've had a lot of customers asking recently, as 12 and 13 repairs are becoming more common, how do we open the phone without damaging it? The answer we've given everyone is just a little bit of heat via a heating pad, some alcohol, and a thin plastic pick. But for those that doesn't work for, this is an alternate option. Now, this does come with the price. I believe the machine is $250-ish, $250, $260, and then what they're calling the hot pockets, that's what they say on the back, are about $100. So just this setup right here, I think is around the $370 mark. And this is, so the pocket I have right here is the 6.1, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot the exact size, but this is the one that works for the iPhone 12, 12 Pro, 13, and 13 Pro. This will not fit your Max series or your mini series because they're different sizes. But to kick it off, I'm going to show how this machine mostly works. So I have an iPhone, this is a 13, I believe. I'm going to take the phone, make sure your penalty lobes are out of the phone, place it into, I'll slide this off first, place it into the pocket as far down as you can. This little piece right here loosens it. You push it down to clamp it. Once it snaps down like that, you're good. You can put it here on the end, but this machine, and testing it and seeing all the other videos from people testing it as well, is very, very sensitive. And what I mean by that is I think I got 7 different error codes trying to get this thing to work the first time. So you do have to follow the repair manual to the T in the steps, and I think they're doing that because they're trying to protect the end user from either hurting themselves with the machine or breaking the screen or damaging the phone and then blaming Apple for that happening. So first step, make sure this red button is out, so that'll be on. Power cable's plugged in the back. I'm going to flip the power button that's back here. You get this yellow screen that pops up. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. You can kind of see it here. I'll take this off so you can see it. So once you have that yellow screen, now you're good to slide the phone in all the way. So it has a little track on the underside. It all kind of fits together. You push it in all the way back, and once you hear that click, your screen will turn red. If you did not get to this screen, you did something wrong. And that was either you had this thing already clipped in there when you turned the machine on, or you turned it on and this button was pressed and then you depressed it. Like I said, very, very sensitive. Now, what it's doing right now is heating up. When it gets to a certain point and the machine is hot enough, you then get a 2-minute countdown timer. While that's happening, I'm going to actually switch over to my screen and show you the other things related to the self-service repair program. So we'll switch over to that. Give me 1 second while I move around. All right, so what we have here on the screen is their landing page, and it's pretty simple to understand. You have order parts and tools, review the Apple repair manuals, and then learn more about the program. I'm going to just jump into ordering the parts. Some drop downs here you choose, pretty straightforward. I'm going to pretend I'm fixing, well, I guess I have a 13 in the machine, so let's go 13. And then these are the repairs you can do yourself: battery, bottom speaker, camera, display, SIM tray, Taptic engine. I don't see many people ordering a Taptic engine or SIM tray as a standalone part, so we're going to go display because that's probably the most common. And you have your different repair parts here. Now, these two, again, are probably going to be the most common part ordered. The only difference between these two is this one comes with the sealing adhesive for the display and some penalobes. It's, a $3 difference, so I'd say it's probably worth it just to get all the new parts because it's only $3 difference. And if you notice here, I'll click this image to make it bigger. Apple actually recommends that you replace these display or these cowling screws every time you do the repair, in case you strip them or wear them down or anything like that. So that's why it comes like this, and it's laid out in the exact orientation they should go back into the device in, which helps because it'll prevent screw damage or misplacing of the screws. All right, so just checking on my machine. I don't know if you can see it on the small screen showing right here. It's got about 1.5 minutes for it to heat up, so I'll try to finish my explanation on this side by then. But again, all the other parts here at the top. Then you get your tools. So here's the toolkit you can rent. It's a 7-day rental for $49. It's 2 different cases that you get, which total to about 80 pounds, so it's a lot. They basically send you every machine you would need, including the machine behind me here, the display opening machine, as well as the display press to seal the phone. I think you can get I think it comes with the battery roller too that kind of pushes the battery down. These other small things here. This display protective cover, we realize when you're using the opening machine behind me, if the screen's really cracked, you probably need one of these here, but instead of 65 cents, just get some packing tape or something else that'll really hold on there, and that should be fine too. We have our adhesive cutter. I do have one of those, just a standard spudger. And you'll see all the other tools that are in here. $80 screwdrivers, which you'll have to make the call yourself if it's worth it. The machine behind me, the question we've gotten asked is, do we think the machine is worth it? I would say if you've opened 4 or 5 of 12 or 13 series phones and have cracked the display every time, even with the method that we've talked about with the alcohol, heat, and guitar picks, then you probably do need to switch over to this machine, because that'll save you every time at least $100 in buyback, if not more, depending on who you're selling your screen to. But these are all the machines here. If I did go to actually order the part, it does require that you enter your IMEI number, which machine's beeping at me right now, so I'm going to switch over to that just to get it to stop beeping at me, and then I'll come right back over here. So 1 second. All right, so you see on the machine where it says it's at the 15-minute mark. That's counting down the amount of time you have to actually open the phone. It's kind of like a microwave. It's going to beep at you until you do what you're supposed to. So what you do is you slide out this suction cup to basically end, and you start to move this knob. It'll stop beeping at me once it detects that I'm actually doing the right thing, which should be about here. There it is. So it has a sensor in here somewhere that tells you when it's going down. So you get it as close to the screen as you can, so about right there, and then you're going to press down on this latch here to get the suction cup to engage. And then from here, you're just basically backing it up. So you're lifting, you're rotating, this is counterclockwise now. And what that's doing is slowly lifting the screen to where you can get your opening tool or your display adhesive cutter. And this one I've actually already opened once, so it's going to open a little bit easier. But the goal here is you just take your tool and slide it. And in the time we've had this about a week and messing with it, the cool thing here is it actually heats the edges of your phone as opposed to the back or the front, which is what we typically do. So it may be a little bit safer for the screen since you're not applying heat directly to it. But again, we're just going on the sides. You can go on counterclockwise a little bit more, just to where you can see that adhesive. And I think in reading Apple's guide, it specifically said don't go more than like 5 degrees or 10 degrees. And that's so you don't rip the cables or anything like that. But you can kind of see inside the phone already. I don't know if you can see it at that angle. But you get it to about that right there, and then you're good. So I did that in, 2 minutes? You don't need the full 15 minutes. Some phones probably need longer than others, especially if it's been sealed. I'd estimate 5 minutes on the long side, but like that was 3 minutes or 2 minutes and we're good to go. So what I'm going to do now is disengage the suction cup. So that let my screen fall down. Hit this lever, or I'm going to actually raise the suction cup so it's out of the way. Hit this button to release the hot pocket. Slide this out. And then I'm going to pull this latch up, which releases my phone, and there you can see the phone is now open. The rest of it, you can just use a spudger or this plastic opening tool to kind of get the rest of the adhesive. But the phone is pretty hot right now. It's fairly warm. You don't want to just go in right away because you don't want to burn yourself, but it's manageable. Nothing too bad. So now I have the phone open. Let me make sure all my clips are freed. But see, that was pretty much it. Not too bad. And like I said, I have opened this phone once before, so not an exact representation, but pretty close to it. So that right there is the display removal fixture. Real quick, I'm going to switch right back to the Apple screen just to show you where I was at and then continue from there. So, as I was mentioning, you do have to enter the IMEI or the serial, the device you're fixing. Apple uses this to program the new screen to your phone. This helps get rid of that non-genuine display status detected or something like that. Because what they'll do is they take that IMEI or serial. Once you've repaired it, you reach out to them via chat or I believe email or phone. Chat or phone is what it is. And they'll program it for you. So they'll run the configurator process and get everything going. Now, the questions come up is, if you put that part on a different phone than the IMEI you've provided, will it still work? That's something we're still trying to figure out. From what I've seen other people post, it's a no because Apple is very to the book with what numbers you provide them. So on that one, it is important you put the serial or IMEI for the phone you will be fixing. Second thing here, which is interesting, you have to enter the repair manual ID number. this is their way of verifying that you actually read the guide, or at least opened the page and found the ID for what you'll be fixing. So it probably clears liability on their side, I would imagine. But I'm going to jump over there real quick because ordering from here is pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. So I'm going to jump back to the main page and then go to read manual. Same thing here, it's pretty easy to find. So again, I had an iPhone 13. I'm going to go to that. And I believe it's like a 90-page repair, or 85. So it varies per device, but it's got safety stuff. And the tools you saw to order aren't the only tools. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, just kind of speed this up. But these are all tools that they supply or that you can order from, or most of them. See, like gloves right there, there's no part number, so you would have to order yourself. And then there's a lot of other things here. Now there's some things you don't need for sure, like sand and sand container. That's in the event that you puncture the battery, which hopefully it doesn't happen, but that's their thermal event fire remediation kit. So they say to have that there. It's a good thing to have as backup, but not absolutely required. But going back up to the repair ID, or is it, I think it's like within the first couple, here we go. So page 4 of this guide. During their purchase process, enter the manual ID WLBXAK to indicate that you've read this manual. So it's not very hard to find. You can probably even Control F this PDF and search for manual ID and quickly find it. If it were me, I would probably try to hide it like 40 pages down or something. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever been to like a firing range, but sometimes they'll have a waiver where you have to give them a code to prove that you read the whole thing or the secret phrase, and they'll hide it in the middle of it. To me, that's probably a better tactic because then you have to actually go finding for it. But again, Control F in a PDF is not very hard to do. Like if I do that and repair manual, or actually, what was it? Manual ID. Manual ID. There we go. See, so not very hard to find, but pretty in-depth guide. I'm not going to go through the whole thing here, but like I said, it has how to use the tools. And again, if you follow the guide to this exact instruction for using the heated display removal fixture, you will not get all the error codes. We didn't error code at all in this video, which is good. But in testing it, I know I did a bunch of times. So pretty good machine. But again, this is pretty much the whole process. A couple other things to talk about. Apple does give you some credit back if you do send your removed OEM screen from the phone. Now, they said that they review it, and depending on condition, they give you credit. I would imagine that you get the full $30-something if the panel is not damaged, so the OLED doesn't have bleeding lines or anything like that, similar to when we do buybacks. But if it is fully damaged, they maybe give you a couple bucks just for scrap or whatever they recycle on them. But that's just another part in the ordering. So I'm actually going to switch back to, or this is going to be another view showing a couple other tools I got from Apple, just as a quick recap of what we got. Here we go. Let me straighten this up a little bit. There we go. That's close. So I have a couple things here. The first one is the actual part itself. So this is a screen for an iPhone 12. Their part numbers are listed when you order them. So this one is a 18503. Again, they don't say anywhere on here it's an iPhone 12, so you kind of have to go back to their key. As an end user, which is what this is designed for, that shouldn't be a big problem because you're not ordering like 3 different phones worth of screens. It's probably just one screen, so that's your phone. Here's that little tray I was talking about where you get the screws to replace. So you have your display cowling and your battery cowling screws. It's pretty cool. They're all organized in a little tray. Here's the actual screen packaging. Pretty sturdy clamshell that comes on it to protect the screen. There it is right there. And I actually did not remove the plastic on the back of this. This is how I got it. So it seems like someone had put that on there, didn't really clean it as much as they should have. There's some fingerprints and stuff in there. But, I mean, solid part. Biggest benefit for sure is going to be that the Face ID cable is pre-installed. And you don't have to worry about if you rip the other one, you don't have Face ID anymore, as long as it's just this cable and not the camera side and the dot matrix side on the phone. But you can replace this whole thing. Yeah, Face ID won't work right off the bat, and you'll get that display message, but that's where you reach out to Apple, tell them that you've installed the screen, and then they will run, I believe it's either Apple Configurator or AST2, whichever one to each specific model, but that'll program it, and you'll get Face ID back, and that display message will go away. So that's the part. I'm going to put that to the side. This is the repair tray, which I think this thing was like $50. Again, it's a cool idea and concept, but is it worth $50? In my opinion, probably not. What this is needed for, though, if you are using display press or the battery press tool, this slides actually into that machine, so unless you have the tray that fits that phone, you won't be able to use that. But pretty cool here. So has a cutout for the rear camera. We're going to drop that in there. We're going to put our suction cups up there on the side. We're going to fold our screen up and then just gently press against it, and that'll actually hold our screen up for us, which is actually pretty cool. So this way you don't have to worry about holding the screen up with one hand while you're taking screws out. I'll usually use my alcohol dispenser bottle, something like this, or a tape dispenser, something else with some weight behind it, or I've even used one of these clamps to kind of hold my screen up. Obviously not to put too much pressure, but that'll hold it open. So again, cool tool. And then last thing I purchased from them is this thing was like 50 cents. This is their display adhesive cutter. So this is the thing they show specifically when you're using the heated display fixture to separate the adhesive. This is not meant as a pry tool, so you're not supposed to go in there and lift up or anything. You just get in there, and you'll notice there's like a lip to it. So you're only supposed to put in that thin part, and then you slide, and that gets that adhesive to separate without excessive force. But again, pretty cool tools for sure. Are they worth the cost? I would say not so much, but this does at least open it up more to the repair shops that aren't a part of the IRP, the Independent Repair Program, or even consumers that are more technically minded and want to do this on their own. I will remind everyone that it is important to know to know what you are doing. If you are a DIYer jumping into cell phone repair for the first time because Apple has all this stuff out now, it doesn't mean it's going to be a piece of cake by any means. You can still blow backlights, damage connectors, rip flex cables, puncture batteries, so just use caution, take your time. Apple's done a pretty good job of putting all this stuff together, so if you follow everything as they intended it to be, I would imagine your success rate should be pretty high, but if you go outside of the realms of what they're showing you, that's where you're probably going to run into some issues. But that's all I have for today. I know it was a little bit on the longer side, but I hope it was valuable information, maybe answering questions you had about some of this stuff. We're still reviewing it. If you guys would like to see other machines from them reviewed, like the display press or the universal display opening fixture, the non-heated version, so it's like the $100, $150 version, or the battery roller, we can check those out too, but just let us know. Hope everyone has a good weekend, almost holiday weekend since Cinco de Mayo yesterday, but everyone stay safe, and we'll see everyone on next Friday's stream. Thanks, guys.